is a particular detail and you want me to expound further, I allotted some minutes at the end of our class or discussion about marriage. The image in front of you right now is St. John Paul II. I greeted everyone at the start. Happy Feast Day. We are celebrating his, you would say, inauguration of his pontificate. The church declared this day as his celebration day. So we could go to him and ask him not only to be close to our mother, but also to understand the lesson for today. Okay, just a recap. Last week, last 2 weeks ago rather, we studied marriage in its essence. And you could say that marriage is one flesh. If you look at your screens, I'm just typing what I recall that we studied 2 weeks ago. And that because it is one flesh, it's a reality from the beginning. Our Lord would utilize this same reality to convey his message to man, his love for man. The analogy of his love will be utilized or be transmitted through this reality. And later on, we would also learn that he would elevate this as a sacrament. Elevating this same reality as sacrament. But before tackling the sacramentality, we also mentioned that it has two essential properties, which are indissolubility and unity, and likewise two essential ends. The ends refer to the good of the spouses, the mutual help, and then later on their procreation, the good of the children, the good of procreation and education of children. This reality is forged through three pillars. When two consent, two capacitated subjects, male and female, husband and wife, join together and mutually agree to celebrate marriage, in that they are doing it with another pillar under the accepted form. There is a marriage, marriage in theory, the dynamic reality of it. From the marriage celebration, you have the title of receiving grace, especially when it comes to the sacrament of marriage. In the Catholic Church, we also noted that the form is specific. It's attendance of one representative of the church, the canonical form, the priest, and two witnesses. More often than not, it is also celebrated in the liturgy, in a mass, inside the mass. Okay. Today, we would delve into the fruitfulness of marriage, but beforehand, because many questions, there were many questions about these things, about natural law, how to address situations, and to understand what it's all about. I wrote here some pointers, three pointers, like a basketball player. 3 pointers that I guess are so important, like a prelude before the study of the fruitfulness or fecundity of marriage. Now, the first pointer I have here is that in studying these things, there has to be some sincerity. Sincerity in one's own life. It is very important that when it comes to the natural law, somebody is writing. Anyway, sincerity in for oneself. The person is sincere, he will normally realize that there is the good and the bad. The problem most of the time is that people are not sincere with themselves rather. There has to be some study. It requires this approach of studying is presented or is facilitated by the documents of the church. I'm not saying a conservative doctrine, an Opus Dei doctrine, but I simply studied these matters, and what the church says, I simply echo. I don't invent. No, it's unfortunate that there may be some pastors you would encounter who say otherwise. No, with a person's study and prayer or soul searching, a person can arrive at the truth. Last but not the least, in application to particular cases or circumstances, they have to seek advice, especially couples, especially when there are concerns or questions, when they are already quite involved. Formation of conscience is key to understand all these concerns. Now, the formation of conscience is a lifetime thing. It doesn't, it does present itself as a given. No? And there has to be some formation, some patience, in order for a person can really discern what is right and wrong. Mark, can you erase the writings here, please? Okay. Another pointer I want to highlight is the role of the magisterium of the church. Her role is to safeguard what was given to her. What was given to her was the deposit of revelation. It entails some faith. This understanding or this study that we will do has within our belief in that the church, the one true apostolic and Catholic church, has been entrusted by God to take care of what he has shown man or revealed to man. She is not an enemy of anyone. She wants the happiness of man, because our Lord wants the happiness for us, for each of us, for each couple, for each marriage. Okay. Third pointer is about the defense of real love. The church is, when it says it's or lays out her doctrine about these things, is trying to promote something, and that promotion is the promotion of genuine love. Maybe it may say no to certain practices. It may say no to other things. But at the bottom line, what the church is trying to defend really is real love, is human dignity. The person, his importance, created in the image and likeness of God, called to become a child of God, and in himself, with his faculties of intellect and will, with his freedom, is being defended in all the things that I will say now. So to summarize, what the church does, the church is on the side of man, of each man and woman, of all marriages. I think this is important to highlight because many of the things that the church proclaims seems to give us the impression that the church is like a killjoy. No? We have invented some techniques, we have invented some technologies in order, for example, to to reproduce, and the church says no to many of these. The church is on the side of man. It is looking for the happiness of man, of each man and woman, and of all marriages. When the church says these things, it's not to be a killjoy period. It is for man's happiness. It is for every couple's fulfillment as well. Okay? Merck, please erase once more. Oppo A83 is marking the slides. Thank you. Okay. First point that we have to note after the first three pointers. No? Marriage, in its essence, is open to life. It's an essential orientation of such a reality established by God and also with the consent of men. Okay. It's an essential orientation. Marriage naturally tends to it. At some point, some couples may not want a child, no, and in fact, this does not undo what they have established. No? They want to have marriage. When they have wanted to have marriage, they wanted that naturally. Now, in the case that they did not want to have children, even at the start, then what they have entered, in fact, can easily be declared null, if proven by a tribunal in the church, because marriage really is called towards this openness to life. And when you talk about this openness to life, you talk about children, which is a good of marriage, the good of children. In the Latin phraseology, Latin terminology, St. Augustine, this is the bonum prolis. What makes marriage different from any other relationship? It has the good of children, bonum prolis, called to beget children, which is who are gifts. That is the ordination or the determination of the mode of being. Marriage naturally tends to children, to having children. A child springs from the very heart of the mutual giving as the fruit and fulfillment of marriage. Apart from the good of fidelity and the good of indissolubility, which we already tackled in the previous class. So the good of children is innate in the reality of marriage. Openness to life is part of it. It's a necessary feature of marriage. Okay, second point. So the first point is openness to life. Each marriage is open to life. Although subjectively, at some point, perhaps it's not, because of decision, the tough decision of couples. Second point, God had a design for this fruitfulness in marriage. You know that God created man in his own image and likeness. And that means a lot in the world of creation. He has willed for himself, for itself, man, the only creature God willed for itself. GS is Gaudium et Spes, a document by the Second Vatican Council. He has an incomparable value compared to other creatures. And as he creates other human beings, now God does not stop in creating only Adam and Eve. He continues to create other human beings. But this time, he involves man. He involves man and woman. In fact, he told them, be fruitful and multiply, at the very early part of Genesis. And in this, he has given the commandment to procreate, not only to reproduce like the other animals, but they are also creating with him. Human engendering, human fatherhood and motherhood are not thus rooted simply in a biological detail, a biological fact, but at the same time, it transcends it. It is beyond. It, in fact, is a mystery that God has entrusted man to create with him. Man cannot create the soul. God infuses the soul. Man can supply some genes, etc., the human body, but that body is lifeless without God. So God is involving man, has entrusted that involvement to man in the work of creation. And that's why we call reproduction of human species as procreation. Creating with, creating for. Okay, Letter Families is a document by